Alright, you guys, so this is kind of a follow-up to my thoughts on the Netflix version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And guys, I was wrong on a few things. As of the recording of this video on February 26th at about 5:30 in the evening Eastern Time, Avatar live action is the number one most watched television program on Netflix at the moment. But I'm basically here to say, guys, that while Gordon and Dallas, David, and the actress that plays Katara and everybody else did give it a solid effort. I'm basically here to tell you guys that I personally will be waiting for next year in October when Mikey and Brian delivered to us the first product from Avatar Studios, because the back half of Avatar: The Last Airbender Book One Netflix just kind of for me it doesn't fall flat on its face or anything, but to me it still pales in comparison to the original 2005 animated show, because basically, guys, it's been a few days since I watched the last few episodes, so this isn't going to be a word for word recap, but basically after Aang and the others deal with Jet with wanting to destroy the Mechanist, and I probably covered that in my last video about this. The next episode is basically Team Avatar half dealing with Abai, and half Aang going to the Avatar Roku's temple to talk to him some more about instead this time, since they didn't reveal that Sozin's Comet is returning this year until the after credit scene at the end of episode 8 finale, but more on that in a second. Aang basically visits Avatar Roku's temple without any help from Fang, to basically get back the face statue that Avatar Roku stole from Ko, the face stealer, when Avatar Roku dealt with Ko in the spirit world while he was still alive. And guys, before Aang goes off to the Crescent Island Temple to deal with the fire sages, all except for Shayu, who I will say they did manage to capture Shayu perfectly. He is still as loyal to the original mission of the fire sages, which was to serve the Avatar, just as he is in Avatar Roku, the Winter Solstice Part 2. But before that, Ko and Aang basically have the same interaction that after seeing the spirit of the library, Wang Chi, Ko basically says that the last waterbender avatar Ku Ku I can't say his name, but the waterbending avatar that Ko stole his fiance's face says that he will only give up his food if Aang can return something that was stolen to him from him by the last avatar that tried to face him. But before Aang does all that, after he comes out of the fog of lost souls, he actually has a chance to have one more meeting with Gyatso, where Gyatso tells him that just being in the fog of lost souls in the spirit world is dangerous because most souls do get trapped there. But before Aang goes to Avatar Roku's temple, Gyatso does comfort Aang by saying, Aang, that there was nothing else you could have done to save me or any of the others back at our temple, and that even now that I'm dead, I'm still with you. I'm still your friend. And even though Gyatso knows that he won't see Aang again until Aang does eventually die, and after being in the spirit world permanently, will their spirits be able to see each other again? But the reunion between Gyatso and Aang is incredibly moving, and once again, something that I think would have worked better in the animation. And so, like I said, Aang travels to Avatar Roku's temple, still encounters the same problem with the fire sages, and by the way, this time the door to Avatar Roku's shrine that does not have the weird design. It simply has a inscription of the original source of firebending, the dragon, possibly to pay tribute to Roku's dragon Fang. And for the most part, Avatar Roku and Aang's meeting does go off as originally intended, but Roku flat out refuses to let Aang take back with him Ko's face statue because he says Ko is much too dangerous and the spirit world is too dangerous, and that he also reveals that each avatar is obviously different than the last, and he also reveals that he and Avatar Kyoshi couldn't be any more different in the people that they were, or the way they handled the role of the avatar. And one thing I am actually very angry that they took out is that there is something that still damages the fire sages in Avatar Roku's temple, but this time it's not Commander Zhao. I actually forget what it is, but the point is Avatar Roku in this version does not take Yu Zhang's body with the Avatar state to deal with the threat himself, and that was my favorite moment in all the original animation, besides besides the final battle between Fire Lord Ozai and Aang. And next, guys, after that, uh, that that they do eventually deal with King Boomy, and I may be going backwards here, so forgive me for that. But eventually, we do cut to the Blue Spirit portion of the episode, where Commander Zhao, by originally Azula's proposal, but still ultimately her father's decision. Zhao is ultimately promoted to admiral, and does still succeed in capturing Aang for a brief moment, but Zuko, still fearing that Zhao now has Aang right where he wants him, still dresses up as the Blue Spirit to free Aang from his captivity. But in this version, guys, I understand that this scene takes place at night, but it's way too dark. The lighting throughout the scene, it's just not good. And they actually mix the scenes around with Zuko basically lowering himself in the boat to go rescue Aang as the Blue Spirit. And another thing that I don't like is Iroh does not say, "Ever since I lost my son, I think of you as my own." But they do play a Soldier Boy as an instrumental in the background, and the extra time that we get with Ozai actually trying to be more of a brother to Iroh after he loses Luke 10. That's kind of special. And so after Zuko gets Aang away from Admiral Zhao's archery people, Aang obviously does end up discovering the true identity of the Blue Spirit, and that him and Zuko kind of do have a very similar conversation to what Zuko said to Aang while he was still in unconscious in the spirit world in the Avatar state at the North Pole. But again, I feel like this extended conversation in Zuko's Blue Spirit outfit would have been once again better suited in the animation. Although Aang does ask the question about telling Zuko that he knew Kuzan from the Fire Nation from back 100 years ago, and that Kuzan was one of Aang's best friends. And Gordon does say again, straight out of the original, if we had known each other 100 years ago, could we have been friends as well? And then of course Zuko just shoots back a fireball. And then we see Azula getting more and more frustrated that in this version, while Zuko is still banished, David betrays gives out the performance that while Ozai did still banish his son for not being tough enough during his Agni Kai against him for disrespecting his war plan about how to use the 41st Division as a sacrifice to get to Omashu and Ba Sing Se. Zuko does end up putting up more of a fight during the Agni Kai than in the original, but Ozai still burns him for showing a sign of compassion. And obviously, guys, in some cultures, compassion is shown as a sign of weakness. Although when Ozai actually burned Zuko's eye, the expression that is on Ozai's face is actually one of a bit of sadness. And then Azula pretty much almost kills her training instructor because once again she feels like what she did wasn't good enough, despite Manti Lee still saying that she's the best. And then eventually we do cut to the Northern Water Tribe episode, and that pretty much does play out exactly like the animation, with Admiral Zhao killing the moon spirit. The only real difference is Yue does not have to marry on, but he ends up becoming a casualty in their battle against Admiral Zhao and Zuko, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. It was pretty much so by the book of the original that I pretty much skimmed through the last bit of the episode. Unfortunately, obviously, Yue sacrificing herself does not change and is not expanded upon, although her father does say that she will have a chance to appear in some kind of flesh form in about another century. And the last thing we see is a fire sage, basically telling Fire Lord Ozai that Sozin's comet will return this year. The only other really cool thing is that when Zuko sort of sends Zhao to be killed by falling in the water, he does it with a much more angry and pissed off Fire Blast. And then, like I said, Iroh and Zuko's last dialogue is again ripped straight out of the original show, and that's how book 1 and season 1 of the live action Avatar ends. Now, like I said, guys, I after seeing all the episodes can honestly say that I am happy that as of right now, like I said, Netflix's version of Avatar: The Last Airbender is the most popular thing in terms of streaming TV shows for the platform at the minute. But I will also say that they could have done so much more improvement with how they handled the live action. And again, I feel like if Michael and Brian had never had to leave, but perhaps instead of giving the overall experience a 70, I could have at least given it a 85 or maybe an 89. But I will say, this version of Avatar: The Last Airbender still does give a noble effort in capturing the spirit of Michael and Brian's masterpiece, and it still does feel like Avatar. But I will still say, Gordon, just overall delivery of Aang definitely needs to improve. The person, how Sokka is given off by Anne, that's fine. Katara's actress, she's probably my least favorite. Probably my second least favorite is Gordon himself as Aang. Oh, and I guess one other thing I forgot to mention is that when Aang does meet with the waterbending avatar, he does basically say to Aang that he has to be decisive and walk alone, but he also reveals that he spent so much time dealing with the dark spirits in the spirit world, and not actually doing all that much as the Avatar, that he can't help and deal with the siege of the North this time around, because Aang tells him about what Kyoshi did back on Kyoshi Island by using Aang's Avatar state as a conduit to be able to take over his body for a short time. And then the waterbending Avatar is like, Aang, no, I can't do that anymore because I spent so much time battling these evil creatures in the spirit world that my body is damaged, and it even restricts what my soul can do here in the spirit world, even in death. If you try to go into the Avatar state and I try to merge with you as a conduit, that I wouldn't be able to control my version of the Avatar state any more than you could. So guys, again, that is pretty much my entire thoughts on book one of Netflix's version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you want a more in-depth review and breakdown, I suggest checking out Airspeed Prime. His name is Morgan. He's actually been covering this very well. I also recommend checking out the Avatars, although for some reason the Avatars has been lagging on covering the live action content so far, despite how good he was hyping it up and despite even being invited to the premiere. But overall, guys, my whole take on book one of Avatar 2024 by Netflix is I still enjoyed it, but it will never ever be as good as what Michael and Brian brought to us over 20 years ago from 2005 to 2008. But I will say it is something that, again, kind of rearranges the scenes and sequence of Avatar, kind of in a confusing way if you have never seen the material before. But it is a different take, and but I will say, while I expected it to be a little bit better than it was, I still think Gordon and the rest of the actors did fine with what they were given. Obviously, I think Gordon could obviously improve as Aang. Anne and Dallas's and David's and Paul's performances are probably the superior ones. I especially want to say something about Paul's very quickly before I end this video. Obviously, Paul Lee's performance as Uncle Iroh can never live up to the, the, the memory of Mako and what Mako did as the OG person to bring Iroh to life. But there were more than a couple of times in Paul's performance that I think somewhere Mako would have been smiling. But again, guys, as good as Paul was, obviously, it can't live up to what Mako did. Dallas's performance and delivery actually is in some ways a little bit better than what Dante Basco bought this book one of season 1 of Avatar original, but again, particularly for what's coming, providing that they get to adapt book 2 and 3. I still don't think Zuko will be. I mean, Dallas will be able to match what Dante brought. And again, guys, just the extra stuff that Azula did with kind of being more of an advisor to Ozai, but before she heads over to Omashu to begin her work with helping Ozai eventually take over Ba Sing Se again. Azula's voice actress in this is fine, but obviously, come on, you can't top Greg Griffin's performance as Azula. Man, Ty Lee's actress's performances were fine, but I think Ty Lee in particular, her actress was trying to sort of emulate the original actress a little too much. I can't remember Ty Lee's voice actress's name, but she also ended up playing Rhonda from A. Arnold. And to be honest, I think May's actress did a pretty good job. However, there's nothing shadowing yet the boyfriend-girlfriend relationship that Zuko and May will eventually have, providing we get to see book 2 and 3 adapted into live action. Again, I do want to congratulate I do want to congratulate all the actors on not giving a perfect version, but still giving a respectable version that does avenge the disdain that was the 2010 Last Airbender movie. Although I'm not saying that it was perfect, because it wasn't. And again, the changes that they made with and getting to see Gyatso again, I would have made that for the animation. And guys, I just feel like, again, it is a good effort, but for me, I will always stick to the, the, the original global phenomenon that is the original Avatar: The Last Airbender. But still, I congratulate and tip my hat to to everybody that did give over 5.5 years to this project, because because you, you, you may not have done it as high quality as people were expecting. And again, I think if Michael and Brian had stayed on board, we could have gotten something even grander. But again, this does do justice to what to the world of Avatar. Even if book one overall for me is only at a 70%. And again, that we only have to wait a few more months until October of next year to see the return of the real Team Avatar, where Aang, Katara, Sokka, Zuko, and Toph, and hopefully Suki as well, will all be in their 20s and 30s. But again, congratulations to 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 to, to everybody that gave their heart and soul to book one of Netflix's live action version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. You you guys did the best you could with the sometimes shaky scripts that you were given, and I still think if you have never seen the animated version of Avatar, guys, you, you, you should still watch it. And again, once you do, I think you will still prefer the 2005 to 2008 version over this, but this was still a good attempt at trying to recreate a new version of one of the most globally beloved franchises of all time. And again, congratulations to Gordon, to Anne, to Dallas, to David, to Paul, even to Katara and Azula's and Ty Lee's MA's actress. You guys did the best you could to bring these beloved characters back to life on the small screen. But again, I, as somebody that now, having just turned 28 yesterday, I can say I will personally always stick with the cartoon version of Avatar, but I do believe that you guys still did a decent job. And so again, I say thank you, Avatar Aang. Your journey this time around in live action may have been different, but the but this time around, again, as I said in the last video, the skeleton obviously, and the bones and the skeleton may be weaker than the original, but I think you will still enjoy this version of Aang's classic tale. And again, I say thank you to Netflix for again seemingly delivering a decent take on on one of my favorite Nickelodeon classics. And most of all, I say thank you to the original voice cast of Avatar, with a special shout out again to Mako, Gray, Dante, and all the other original voice actors. And again, the biggest thank you of all goes to the original masterminds behind the entirety of the Avatar franchise. That will be Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, the original creators of Avatar. And they still did have writing credits on episodes 1 and 6. So again, guys, book 1 of the live-action Netflix version of Avatar for me is probably sitting at a 70%, but I still think it was a decent effort, even though it could have been a lot better. And once again, we won't have to wait for much longer for the real Team Avatar to finally return to us after all these years of waiting. So again, thank you, Netflix, for delivering a still pretty decent effort. And again, thank you to Michael and Brian for the original masterpiece that was and still is Avatar: The Last Airbender.